Welcome to the early best bet show right here on Forward Progress. And you know what? The name used to be ironic. We'd call it the early best bet show, and sometimes we'd come off late. So I'm glad we started on time. Thanks to producer Jacob, who put on a deadline of 5 minutes before the show. I'm joined today by the usual Flup, Christopher Dierkes. How are you, my friend?
Good. I'm changing my handle to be NFL injury news expert, as that's what I am.
Can you confirm Nick Bosa is out for the season now? Have you?
I can't confirm that he is. I also know that Tyreek Hill will not be playing another snap this year. I'm pretty confident in that analysis as well.
Yeah, and likely never with the Dolphins again.
Yes.
And we made a little trade for the next couple of weeks. Judah's got he's on holiday time, and he'll be on the Thursday best bet show. That means we stole Suuma from the Thursday show.
So Judah will bring down their record, and soon will bring our record up.
No, Flup. They're going to get to keep their records on their show, even though Suma's making picks here. Or Rob, he's making Thursday picks, and Suma's going to pad his record with some Tuesday picks. Suuma, welcome.
Thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, I'm just learning about how many Jewish holidays there are. So learning always.
October is very, very busy time. And thanks to you, the audience. Of course, we cannot do this show without you. Please comment your thoughts on every game. Spam your best bets. I kind of want to know what everybody's on. This show doesn't happen without you. Let's start off with the Thursday nighter, Philadelphia and the New York Giants. Right now, Philadelphia is a 7.5-point favorite at FanDuel, minus 106. The total is 40.5, minus 115 to the over. All right, let's start with you, Suuma. It looks like from an injury perspective, Landon Dickerson is the big one for the Eagles. And then Darius Slayton and maybe Jermaine Illuminor, who's missed 2 practices for the Giants. What do you make of this matchup?
I honestly think this is going to be a low-scoring affair. Totals obviously came down today a little bit, but I would still lean under at the current market price. I think this is going to be low-scoring. I don't trust the Eagles' offense at all. I know Flup is higher on Jalen Hurts in general, but man, this is really rough at times, and strong D-line for the Giants. I'm just not expecting Hurts and company to do a lot here through the air. I think they will have some success in running the ball, which will play a little bit more into the under look in general. And on the other side, I also think that Jackson Dart and the Giants offense, who moved the ball quite well against the Saints until like some dump turnovers deep in Saints territory, will have a lot of success against this Vic Fangio defense. This screams like a nightmare matchup for Jackson Dart. And yeah, I think this is going to be low scoring, and I still lean under.
Yeah, big thanks to Rob and Clive, who flagged the total being 42.5 Sunday night. So some of the people watching got a really good number on the number. Total still is 40.5, and I was thinking about giving it out if it was at 41 plus. But Flup, what are your thoughts on the market, and specifically the Eagles market rating? Because I think there's still that ongoing battle where statistically they don't have good numbers, and yet they're 4-1. People are still married to priors somewhat. Do you think the market's caught up to what the Eagles are yet, or is it still the biggest puzzle on the board?
Well, first I want to address what Suuma said, and I will admit I've always been high on Hurts. I rated him as my 7th best quarterback or so coming into the season, and mostly that's because I think people are undervaluing how valuable the tush push is, and I think yes, it's not a sexy play. Yes, it seems easy to do, but Jalen Hurts seems to be the only quarterback in the league that can do it at this level of success. And I think that play is so dominant and so valuable that I think he's worth it. And that's why if you took the tush push away, I would probably rated him like 12th or 13th in the league, maybe in 15th in the league. But after watching him for the first few weeks this year, and it's just hard to defend. Like I look like an idiot now, like defending him. I would still have him around 10th or 11th in the league, but just like, man, him passing it looks horrible. And I think people are kind of catching on that, like, wow, like is their whole game just like ground and pound? They have a solid defense and they got a good offensive line, but then when they have, some O-line injuries, it kind of becomes questionable. And I don't think Jalen Hurts is as valuable as I once thought, unfortunately.
Yeah, you did mention the O-line injuries. Landon Dickerson being out and Dexter Lawrence being the best nose tackle in football makes that tush push kind of must watch, must see.
Right.
Suuma, you had something to add on to this game?
Yeah, so Hertz has been killing single high in recent memory, and this year teams are playing a lot more zone, and his splits in terms of efficiency are drastic, like man slash single high cover one and zone coverage. We saw it against the Broncos, who played man coverage in the first half. Then I think they played 100% zone coverage in the second half, and then the offense completely stalled. So this is just simply not clicking against zone coverage right now.
Here's what I find quite peculiar is their insistence on running the ball, and like Saquon is averaging 3 yards a carry. He's like 47th out of 50 running backs on PFF. Now the Giants, they don't stop the run well. They're 28th in defensive rush EPA and in defensive rush success rate. So I wonder if the Eagles will continue with that game plan. They usually like to pick on the weakness. If they don't get the run game going against the Giants, I really hope that they make an offensive coordinator change, because frankly, it's not working. And even though their record is holding up, I don't think that they're playing well enough. I jumped the gun. I actually forgot to share the results last week. And no. This isn't like some old school tout trick where we didn't do well and we wanted to hide the record. We actually did quite good, Jacob, if you can pull up the record. Other than the Chargers, where we all aligned and ran into a wall, I went 2-1 last week, bringing my record to 8-4. Flup went 1-2, and that Rams loss is unfortunate because he got a ton of CLV. And Judah went 2-1, including the Dallas alt. That was like a plus 195, and the line moved to the Jets. Like Judah's insane play paid off. So he finished 2-1. So right now our record as the team is 18-15, 4.1% ROI. It was plus 176. I'm being informed. Okay. My memory didn't serve me right, but we'll nonetheless we'll move on to the London game. Flep, you've got a partner in there, but I want to get your opinion on this game. Right now, Denver and Jets in London, Sunday morning game. Denver is -7, -118. The total is 43.5, -112 to the over. Fluff, why don't you start us off in this game?
Yeah. Initially, in the beginning of the year, I thought the Jets looked pretty good. Tanner Engstrand looked like a solid offensive coordinator, and I still kind of view that. But man, like Justin Fields just can't throw, and it's really brutal to just have this constant run attack that the offense or the defenses know it's going to happen. And what are they going to do when Pat Surtain is just going to lock up, Garrett Wilson? They have nothing they can do here, and I don't think they're going to be able to get anything going on the ground. But at the same time, I'm not that high in Bo Nix either, and I just don't. I think this is going to be a defensive battle. Broncos obviously deserve to be favored; they're a much better team, and that's why I'm on the under here. That's one of my plays, because I just don't see how anyone scores the ball. It's already steamed down a little bit. I think 43.5 is a little too high. I also do think that the travel going to another country with the time lag, et cetera, it's going to weigh on people. It's a big negative, and maybe people will be a little groggy there. I think that's always worth a little something there, maybe half a point.
Yeah, especially for a first-time head coach. It's funny that Jets have cost the Sharps a lot of money every week, no matter how much CLV you get. Suuma, I think the mismatch. Oh, and that flop, that was your double hammer on the under 43.5 -108. Suuma, I think the mismatch is the Jets O-line against the Denver D-line. Right now, the Jets have allowed the 5th most sacks in the NFL. Broncos are first in sacks, generating pressure on 31% of their plays. And then on the opposite side, the Jets are 32nd in defensive dropback EPA. They cannot cover anybody. And Michael Carter, if he's not back, that's going to be problematic again. How are you viewing this matchup?
Yeah, I agree with Flap here. I think the under is a very good look. I think the Jets hired the wrong guy to be their head coach. They hired this Lions defensive-minded head coach, tough guy, motivation guy. Well, the defense sucks. The Lions defense is better than last year, and this team can't tackle. Defensive line is basically was non-existent against a patchwork Cowboys O-line last week. Yeah, I think this is like a dream matchup for Sean Payton. He will do all the stuff in the one game, screen stuff, crosses over the middle of the field, where the Jets also cannot cover at all. So yeah, a good matchup for the Broncos. I still have some reservation about their passing game. I think Bo Nix is very bad, but they should put up some points against this Jets defense. And then on the other side, yeah, I think the Jets might be able to run the ball quite a bit because the Broncos front seven is kind of light in general, and they can be had when you come with a strong power run game. But yeah, once it gets to straight dropbacks, they are in trouble.
You know, it's a real indictment when you're a defensive guru, come in, the defense gets worse, and the team that you left defensively gets better. It really is an indictment on maybe you weren't the reason for the success, or if anything, you held the team back from potential better success.
I'm a big Jets fan. I've been a Jets for my whole life, and I just don't understand why did we not get Brian Flores? Do we have actual confirmed genius? Instead, we get this motivation guy in Aaron Glenn, and who maybe or maybe isn't a genius, and it turns out isn't a genius. Like what were we thinking here? I don't care that okay, Brian Flores bullied Tua, so no, we can't hire him anymore. I mean, come on, it's ridiculous.
You know what? I do wonder if he'll ever get another look, because no one can argue with his defensive chops. Not since the days he put the Rams' great offense in a chokehold in that Super Bowl match against the Patriots, and then obviously what he's done in Miami, and then what he's doing right now in Minnesota. Before we move on to the next game, I want to give a thanks to our sponsor, FanDuel. Football fans, this NFL season, you can call your own audibles with Your Way exclusively on FanDuel. Your Way gives you the power to adjust lines, customize player props, and create bets you can't find anywhere else for a game-changing experience. So whether you want to bet on how many passing yards, rushing yards, even touchdowns, you set the line and get new odds instantly. Plus, with Your Way, you can make head-to-head bets by position or player. However you want to play, FanDuel is your go-to app for any snap. Just visit FanDuel.com/forwardprogress to get in on the action. That's FanDuel.com/forwardprogress to bet your way. Play your game with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Please play responsibly. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC, 19 plus and physically located in Ontario, or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rghelp.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Call Connects Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 or visit connectsontario.ca. Okay, let's move on to the next game. Again, I don't know what to make of this game because the Baltimore injury report is still massive. Right now, the LA Rams are lined at -7.5, 105. Totals at 44.5, shaded -115 to the over. We learned maybe an hour before going to coming on the air, Suuma, that the Ravens traded Odafe Owe, one of their best pass rushers. They have Lamar Jackson we don't know about, Ronnie Stanley, Kyle Hamilton, Roquan Smith, Marlon Humphrey. How do you even begin to break down a game where we don't know who's going to play and who doesn't?
I don't think you can really, to be honest. If you put a gun to my head right now, if I had to bet it, I could not bet Baltimore. No chance. This defense, so the Texans offense, I'm really, really low on them. And they move the ball at will. O.C. Cayley looked like the next coming of Sean McVay last week. But I think it was more because of the Ravens defense than the Texans offense. So the Rams are a pretty good offense. I expect them to score, and then pretty much depends on whether you trust to this current iteration of the Ravens offense to somehow go with them. And I think it's hard to believe, to be honest.
Flup, these two teams were responsible for the two biggest market moves last week. The Rams getting a lot of CLV and Ravens getting a lot of negative CLV from opening line. Where do you begin to put a number on all these injuries? You're a market guy. Is this just like absolute chaos? You have to stay away till you find out who exactly is in and who's out?
I mean, not necessarily. Like a big reason, for example, I played the Rams last week is because I just saw constant steam, and based on the way the market was moving, I thought it had a good chance to break through, and I was right. I mean, I got almost 2.5 points of CLV through a key number on the Rams. If you think that's a bad bet, like you're just lying to yourself. And with this week, though, looking at the market, it's kind of hasn't moved in like one massive way. Like I saw, like just looking at FanDuel, got up to 7.5. Or sorry, I was looking at the wrong game there. It went from 7 to 7.5 like straight, and then it like brought down a little bit to like a 7.5. That was more expensive. So this is just really hard to read, and I think we're gonna get more clarity once like some more news comes out. I know they said Lamar was going to be out for 2 to 3 weeks. It seems as if it's 100% that he's out this week. I mean, am I off base there?
No, yeah, he's likely going to miss again because their buys next week, and I can't imagine they're going to blow the whole season in a spot like this. It's interesting, Flup. Last week, they didn't accurately price it. Like I think Suuma said, I get it. I don't know how you put an accurate number on Houston. We were talking in our group chats. We ended up taking Houston on the show last Tuesday. I took them because it was like I just couldn't figure out a scenario where Baltimore win. I couldn't put a number on it. It just anything under 3 just felt like a click on Houston. It feels like this week they're like have at least adjusted heavy and said we might not know exactly where it's going to go, but we're not going to get caught like that again.
I think another thing is I think people are like kind of shocked when you think like, hey, if I would value Lamar at a minimum of 8 points against the spread, potentially even as much as 10. And like I don't know if you guys like strongly disagree with that, but like I think a lot of like people in the market have a hard time valuing someone. How can one player be so valuable? But you see it like their offense, like the Baltimore offense couldn't do anything. Lamar is everything. He's so valuable that I think it's hard for people to rationalize how valuable one player can be.
Yeah, it also is like certain quarterbacks, you design entire offensive. It's hard to ever replicate a player like Lamar. He's one of one.
Cooper Rush is nothing like him. Nothing like him.
And it was just a disaster matchup. Houston might be the best defense in the NFL, or at least in the conversation. And that's not exactly the defense you want to play with a backup quarterback. And then on the other side, I don't know who the Ravens are going to have available defensively because this, like, I don't know how you ever stop a guy like Puka Nacua. So until I see more clarity, there's nothing to do in this game. Let's move on to Cleveland and Pittsburgh. Right now, Pittsburgh's -5.5, -108. Total's 38.5, -112 to the under. I want to start with you, Flup. This is a weird scheduling spot where Pittsburgh's at home off a bye and Cleveland is returning from London. What do you attribute to that in the market rating? What are you adding to that? Because on the surface, I don't make this line what it is, but I don't know that I can.
Out of curiosity, what would you make this?
I think -4.5 is closer to where I am.
Honestly, I think buys are traditionally worth around 1.25, 1.5-ish. And I think the travel from Europe is worth about a point too. That's what I said last. That's what I kind of thought last week. Vikings gained that by being there the extra week. So I would go as far to say this is almost worth like almost 2.5 points to 2 points here, and in favor of the Steelers. And I think Pitt should be. I was kind of shocked that they haven't been bet heavy here. I would have actually made them the play if they were stale enough, but they weren't that stale for me. I mean, Circa's at a 5. I didn't want to give out a 5.5 -0.8. But if I had to guess, I would expect one-way action on Pitt now until close, but it could be way off.
Yeah, I'm curious, Suuma, what you make of this matchup, because I think I'm hanging around waiting for a Cleveland line near close if I can get a 6.5. Suuma, what do you make of this matchup? I'll tell you my rationale, but I'd love to hear yours first.
Yeah, so Steelers are probably getting healthier. Joey Porter is likely going to be back. Jalen Ramsey is set to practice later in the week, but it's a wait-and-see approach. Same for Kevin Austin, but honestly, he got carted off the field and drove straight with an ambulance car, so I'm not sure whether he's going to be back. Who else? Alex Highsmith is also going to be back, so this is pretty much, this could be the full Steelers defense, I guess, if Jalen Ramsey is back. And I just don't think that the Browns offense will do a lot in this spot here. And on the other side, yes, Browns defense has been phenomenal thus far, but this might sound counterintuitive, but the Steelers offense ranks dead last in A-dot, average depth of target, and first in yards after the catch per play. So it sounds weird, but this is not an offense where the Browns pass rush might necessarily get home all the time if they cannot play with a proper game script. So this might actually be, a defense that gives offense that gives the Browns defense some trouble.
See, I see it a little differently, because when I hear that, I think because I've watched the game, like the DK Metcalf big play and the Jalen Warren big catch and run are the two ones that remind me of it. And Cleveland tackles well at every level of the field, and I don't know that you're going to be able to get all that against Cleveland. Maybe Cleveland's not the look, because I don't know how Dylan Gabriel will handle, Alex Highsmith and TJ Watt. Maybe an under is the look that I probably should be aiming at instead of trusting that Dylan Gabriel will play well. Let's not belabor the point. Let's move on to a game where a team is not playing well. It's Arizona and Indianapolis. Right now, Indianapolis is -6.5, -105 on FanDuel, and the total is 47.5, shaded -115 to the under. Jacob, do you have the graphic? Because I really want to drive home the point of how bad Arizona's offense has been right now. 25th in DVOA, 17th in EPA per drop back, 17th in pass success rate, 21st in rush EPA per attempt, 32nd in rush success rate. Those numbers courtesy of FTN. And, I really want to give credit to them, because every week I find myself diving through their numbers, finding interesting stuff that I hadn't really accumulated, and tidbits. Sometimes it doesn't give you a play, but it gives you at least more context to how a team is playing. If you want to check out what FTN has to offer, do it with the Hammer discount, because right now you can get a Stats Pro or Stats Goat account. Use Hammer 10 for 10% off. Head over to ftnfantasy.com or click the link in the description. Suuma, let's start with you. I want to talk about Arizona's offense. Kyler Murray gets paid a lot of money, and Marvin Harrison's a top 5 pick, and Paris Johnson is a top 10 pick, and Trey McBride's one of the highest paid tight ends in football. There's no excuse for a team that's not even a middling offense. They're closer to the bottom 10 in offenses. What is going on here?
They basically looked at their 2024 offense and said, let's go. Let's do it all over again, but with a bad run game. So like last year, they had a top 8-ish run game. So they could lean on the run at times, but that is completely erased. Their guard play is atrocious. I still don't think that they know how to use Marvin Harrison properly. It's basically like running into a brick wall, some dump offs to Trey McBride, and then try to place 1 or 2 hero balls to Marvin Harrison every game. I think if they get blown out in this spot, I think Drew Petzing is completely gone next week. This is not working. Indy's defense has quietly been solid, so at least better than what I thought their personnel was going into the year. On the game, I think this has moved too much, but I also feel like I cannot make a good case for the Cardinals here, because the Colts offense, they are so good, and I'm not trusting the Cardinals defense. So I would not be surprised if we got into a game state like early third quarter where the Colts are winning by 3 touchdowns, and then I'm not really seeing how this Cardinals offense catches up.
I'll be honest with you. I want to take Arizona. I'm going to wait to see the Kyler clarity. I just can't see a world where Arizona and Vegas are rated very closely. Vegas closed 7-point dogs against Indy last week. Flup, how much of this market is questions around Kyler Murray, and how much of the market is finally saying, you know what, Indy's really good, and we've been wrong on them?
I think this is a lot of just Indy's really good. I mean, Suuma, what do you mean quiet? There's nothing quiet about the Colts offense. They rank second defense.
Defense.
Oh, defense. Sorry, defense. I thought you said offense. Yeah, no, you're right. The defense has quietly been good, but I also wanted to point out like their offense. Their offense is second in EPA per play. Daniel Jones is second in EPA per play. They look dominant. They've been blowing out teams. They should be 5-0 right now. They should have beaten the Rams if Mitchell doesn't drop that one like idiotic ball or whatever. And the Cardinals just look a complete mess. This is one of my favorite spots. I looked at it preseason. DraftKings opened this at Cardinals -1.5. I think they're the only book that do all the look ahead lines there. Now it's Colts -6.5, and this is one of my plays on FanDuel -6.5 -105. This is a pretty stale number. It's been moved up a bunch, and I just think this is a clear case of people are rooted too much into their priors. The Colts should be treated, in my opinion, as a borderline top 5 team. They are utterly dominant. Their offense is firing on all cylinders. As soon as pointed out, their defense is really good. I mean, they're fourth in EPA per play on defense. What do the Cardinals do good? They just came off a very bad loss. He might lose the locker room at this point with how badly they lost versus Titans. And we get Marcus team. This is just everything to me is just leading into like how can you not hit the Colts here at a stale number? It's just ridiculous.
I guess the question is if Kyler is cleared, I don't know how stale this will remain. A lot of comments liking Zona as a dog. Connor says, I don't want to back them to win by margin, but Kyler with minimal expectations here. I'll take that. The one thing I will say is they've been a good run defense, and we have not seen a good, full, healthy secondary. Will Johnson was back last week, and then Max Melton wasn't. So I'm hoping for one game we get to see a full Arizona complement on defense. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with that game yet, but my early leans are Arizona. Flup locks in Indy as his triple hammer. Let's move on to Seattle versus Jacksonville. Right now, Jacksonville's -1.5, 105 on FanDuel, and the total is 46.5, shaded -115 to the under. All right, Suuma, you've got to play on this game. Why don't you tell us what you're thinking?
Yeah, I like the Seahawks in this spot. And one of the reasons is that I think that the Jaguars defense is kind of overrated. Not because the Chiefs had a, 64% success rate, but they did not play the toughest of schedules so far. So the numbers are a little bit shaded, at least in my point of view. Seahawks offense has been absolutely amazing. I think that I was pretty low on the Seahawks coming into the year, but I think that their offense stood like every test so far, so I have to respect them. And I'm pretty sure that they will also move the ball on this Jaguars defense. But I also like the other side of the ball. Still looking at some injuries. DeMarcus Lawrence, Devon Witherspoon could be back. I think Witherspoon would be very good also as a run defender out of the slot, because that did not look pretty good against the Bucs last week. But I think that the Seahawks have a very good defense against the run, and I think if you take away the Jaguars' rushing attack, I think you really have them in your bag. Bretton Strange is not going to play. Robert Hainsey, their starting center, I did not see any updates today. And the Jaguars had issues passing the ball so far. Seahawks are very vulnerable at outside quarterback, but I don't think that the Jaguars offense is really the offense to test that all game long, at least not so far this season. Yeah, I like the Seahawks here. I think this is a very good matchup for them.
I kind of want to play in there as well. You mentioned that Seahawks are good run defense. So are the Jags. I think both are sharp young coaches, even if Liam Cohen's game clock management leaves a lot to be desired. I don't think they're going to keep running in. First of all, Suuma, that's one of your plays, but was it a single, double, or triple? You never let us know.
Let's go triple.
That's your triple hammer. Suuma with Seattle +1.5. For me, Suuma, I don't think they're going to keep running into a wall. I think you'll see both teams throw the ball a lot more. The Seahawks also have Derek Hall, who's been one of their best pass rushers, who's likely going to miss the game. I think Tariq Woolen, they said he got concussed, but he's clearing it quickly, still have injuries at safety. I like what I finally saw of using Travis Hunter. It's like they finally realized, hey, we traded up for this guy. We drafted him 2nd overall. They told us they're going to use him more, and then they did it, and he made some spectacular catches. I think we might see a more dangerous Jacksonville pass attack than we're used to, especially if the Seahawks are without Derek Hall at pass rusher. I'm going to play as I believe it's my double hammer, Seattle and Jacksonville over 46.5. I'm going to lock that in. Kind of thinking in line with Suuma. I'm not sure who's going to win the game, but I think there's going to be scoring on both ends. I could see a similar game to how Seattle and Tampa Bay played out. Flip, I want to ask you a question about Jacksonville and market. If right now, Jacksonville caught a lot of late money yesterday. Yeah. They're 4-1 against the spread, and if not for like the Cincinnati Miracle comeback, they'd be 5-0. Are they not getting enough respect, or are there wins in the market being considered fluky because of all the defensive turnovers they've had to rely on?
I don't know. I mean, I think back to the Chiefs game last night. What about the interception of Trevor Lawrence, the missed PI call? I mean, are we going to call that game fluky? The pick six was there. It's like what are we doing here? I think they deserve a little respect. And what honestly scares me about, I understand where you guys are coming from, and I think I've been a little too biased. I saw Donald in New York for so many years, but I think Kubiak and Darnold, I give a lot of credit to Kubiak here, he's really turned it around. Like, Darnold looks very good. And I think what scares me is someone out there likes Jacksonville. Someone sharp likes Jacksonville. We constantly see Jacksonville money. And you guys might be directionally correct here, but I think your entering time is just probably going to be potentially a little off. Like, I would rather enter this probably like a Thursday or Friday, where maybe we get some Jacksonville money in, and then you can buy back some Seattle there. That would be my hesitation. I'm not saying necessarily your plays are wrong, but that would be my opinion.
I bet the over. I've bet Jacksonville 4 out of 5 weeks. I think Suuma has as well. So we're not like anti-Jacksonville by all means. I think we've both directionally liked Jacksonville. I just think Suuma likes Seattle a lot. I like the over. I think there's going to be a pass-heavy game script. Before we move on to the next game, guys, I want 2 favors. It really helps us out in the algorithm, and I really want this show to be popular because, frankly, we're doing well this year. Can you please drop a comment? Just drop a 1 in the chat and smash the like button. Really helps us out in the algorithm. Gets this in front of more eyeballs. Share this with friends. I'd love for them to know what we're doing on Tuesdays on the Early Best Bet show. All right, let's move on to the Chargers and Miami. Right now, the Chargers are -4.5, -115 at FanDuel. Totals at 43.5, -120 to the over. The Chargers went out and made a trade for Odafe Owe. So it looks like they're trying to plug some of their problems on defense that the Khalil Mack situation has caused. Let's start off with you, Flup. Are you surprised the money's come in on Miami thus far? This line was bigger. Is the market done with the Chargers for a little bit, at least until we get some O-line clarity right now with them?
Yeah, I think that's I think you nailed it right there. I think that's what it is. Instinctively, if you think back the first few weeks, Miami looked dead. The Chargers looked elite. I was touting that the Chargers might be on the same level as KC, but these last 2 weeks, with all the injuries the Chargers have had, and Herbert hasn't looked as elite as he once did the first 3 weeks, it's not a super surprise to see that some Miami money coming in. I almost gave one of my plays at a stale Miami plus 4.5, but I couldn't do it. I was a little worried about Herbert turning it around, and I wanted to save my last play for something else.
I'll be honest, Suuma, I want to bet the Chargers. I think I want to just wait to see if I can get a better number. Here's how you know Miami is bad defensively. So Miami has the 5th highest blitz rate. They blitz on 34% of passing plays, and they generate the bottom 10 in pressures, only 17% of pressures. So not only are they putting their bad corners on an island, they're not even getting there with their blitz, and everyone's like getting whatever they want through the air against Miami. Miami's 30th in dropback EPA, dead last in dropback success rate, bottom 5 in defensive rush metrics too. Suuma, how is this game? How's this game matching up for you?
I like the Chargers. Would also like them at a better price. I think FanDuel has the best price on Miami right now.
I wanted to give out Chargers. I thought about it, but no, I can't. They're the worst price in market for Chargers. They're doing a good job. Miami's best price. If you like Miami, FanDuel is the place to take it.
Yeah, so when you rewatch the game at Carolina, this was one of the worst tackling performances I have seen in a while. And this is like narrative street, but I mean, there might be a chance that this team is quitting in front of our eyes right now. So I would not want to bet into that. They are like 32nd dead last in pass DVOA, second to last in EPA per play. They're giving up a 58% success rate on against dropbacks. So this is like epically bad defense. And I mean, yes, I know about all the Chargers offensive line injuries, but I think they will still move the ball. Like, there's no one on this Miami secondary that can cover those wide receivers. And then on the other side, the Chargers have a really, really good defense. I mean, they got punished on the ground against Washington. I think that Washington's run game, we talked about it Thursday, fits very well against what the Chargers do defensively, but Miami does not have that kind of running game. And I think that Jesse Minter is really going to cloud the middle of the field and make Tua pay. So bad matchup for the Dolphins offense, in my opinion. And I think that the Chargers offense will just do enough against that defense. So I could only look at the Chargers here.
Yeah, I'm going to wait for a little bit of injury clarity with Pipkins and Mekhi Becton. In hindsight, Suuma, a guy like Becton who struggled with weight and staying on the field on the Jets, going to Philly for 1 year and playing well at guard, paying that guy a free agency contract maybe wasn't the smartest because that guy is in and out of the lineup. I think like 3 games now he's hasn't finished the game that he started. You know what you need to do on your lunch break? You got to watch the Hammer Daily. I watched today. They had an NHL special, the NHL season opener. Jason Cooper had like so many guests on talking hockey. You know what? I haven't been into hockey lately the last few years, but I got kind of excited when I seen all those guys talk about it. Check it out. Hammer HQ YouTube channel. Just a fun bite-sized stuff. I know Flup's on there giving out great futures. I'm out there giving iffy survivor picks, although I'm doing well on my own personal survivor picks, but nobody wants to hear that, giving out bad survivor advice and doing well personally. Anyways, let's move on to New England at New Orleans. I believe it's pronounced New Orleans. Someone correct me. Is it New Orleans or New Orleans? I'm not sure. Right now, New England -3.5, -115. Totals 45.5, -115 to the over. All right, let's start off talking about Flup. New England's respect in the market. Are they still being priced as an average team? Like, they just went into Buffalo, won a games thing, but they're being priced what, like 5 points better than New Orleans on a neutral, and you think that's a fair number?
Well, I think New Orleans took some money, and then obviously last week, and then obviously the Pats took some money last week as well. So I think New Orleans isn't being priced as the worst team in the league. So I think people maybe think, 5 points better than the worst team. That doesn't seem right, but that's not really what New Orleans is. And I don't think it's very fair to say like 5 points. You know, it's a 3.5, and I guess like the Monday game, how much is the mini, a 6-day rest for 7-day rest? Does that mean something for home field advantage, et cetera, et cetera? So I don't know if that's necessarily fair. I tend to think both teams here are better than what their market perception is. I would agree with you that New England probably deserves to be graded at a little bit better than an average team, but the Saints deserve to be graded at maybe a little bit better than a bottom 5 team. And that's kind of what we're seeing here. I think both the side and the total here is pretty fair.
I'll be honest. I make the line a little bit higher and make it closer to 4.5. I would, if I saw a 3, I would be all over New England. Suuma, kind of similar question. What do you think of Drake May and how he's played so far this year, and also this matchup specifically? You smiled, Suuma.
Drake May fan. Honestly, I think he's going to be one of the next great quarterbacks in the league. I think he's like all the tools. I mean, what he does against pressure, pocket movement, accuracy. I mean, the off-platform plays. I mean, this guy looks like a legit, real good, maybe next elite quarterback. Maybe he's already, I don't know. Saints defense, I'm not really high on them. I think that their efficiency numbers when you adjust for schedule are very bad. I mean, the Giants moved the ball very good on them last Sunday, just killed themselves with like turnovers. So I think that New England, they're getting better every week. I think Stephon Diggs, he was really at like, I don't know, 50% in week one. He looks like he's much closer to a 90-95% right now. And you really see that because I think he has a higher route, snap percentage, route percentage, target percentage, all stuff like that. And I think there's really a good connection between him and Drake May right now. And I think that they will move the ball against the Saints team. I don't like the 3.5 right now. If it comes down, if there's more Saints money, I would be interested in the pads. I also think that their defense is getting better. I think that Christian Gonzalez is a major difference maker. Their D-line is also healthier than they were early in the season. So I'm positively surprised by the Saints offense. I think they are somewhat competent, and I think that Kellen Moore is doing a great job with the personnel he's dealing with. But I think that the Patriots are one step up in class.
I think so too, and I'd need a 3 to get involved, but that's what I'm waiting for in that game. Let's move on to Dallas at Carolina. Dallas is 3.5 minus 104. Right now the total is 49.5, shaded minus 112 to the under, and I kind of want to bring up another graphic because there's a coach in Dallas who is really impressing me. His name is Brian Schottenheimer. Without CeeDee Lamb and without most of their O-line, right now the Cowboys are top 5 in offensive DVOA, 6th in EPA per dropback, 15th in pass success rate, 2nd in rush EPA per attempt, 1st in rush success rate. Suuma, what do you think of Brian Schottenheimer and the job he's done with Dallas? And then what do you think of this matchup against Carolina?
Absolutely incredible. They rank 1st in rushing success rate, and I thought that with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, Jake Ferguson being healthy now, they could have a lethal passing attack, but I did not expect this rushing efficiency. I thought that the one game might be limiting this offense going into the season, and they are absolutely insane. That's with Javonte Williams on a 1-year, $3 million contract. That's with 4 starting offensive linemen missing last Sunday. And I think the week prior they also had Tyler Booker and someone else missing. Cooper Beebe is on IR since week 2, I guess. So this has been a patchwork offensive line. They did a great job with their protection plan against the Packers, and then they completely hammered the Jets last week. So yeah, this offense is great. I don't have a strong opinion on this number. I think that their defense is still pretty bad, and I think that the Panthers might have something, but they will also not face like this poor of a tackling performance.
Flup, Rob was thinking aloud on the Sunday reset, and he said this feels like a number that a lot of public, recreational bettors might like Dallas, and some of the sharp bettors might like Carolina. I don't know that I love anything until I get clarity again on injuries. What do you think about the market? Where do you think this thing goes? Any thoughts on a side here?
Well, look, I'm not going to pretend like I know injuries well. I'm just going to ask you both, like, is CeeDee have any chance to play this week? I mean, I know he wasn't put on IR, so I know he's eligible, but, like, does he have any chance to get to play?
I worry. Anybody on a high ankle that hasn't started practicing, I always am skeptical. I wouldn't rule him out, but I'm like 75% on a no here, unless Suuma has a stronger opinion.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to play, honestly.
Yeah, so, I mean, like, to me, though, like, your both are answers. You weren't, like, pounding, like, absolutely not. Like, that tells me that there is they probably a price. Because CeeDee is valuable enough, that he's got to be worth at least a point, maybe even as high as 1.25. when you're a top 3 receiver or top 5 receiver in the league. So it's even if it's a 20-30% uncertainty, it's still something that to factor into the line here. And I agree with Suuma completely. I was actually played Javonte Williams unders for season long, and I might lose them by like week 6 or 7 in the league. So not looking too good for me. This passing attack has been really good, but the rushing attack has been even more impressive. Their offense is very good, but I think it's just one of these spots like Suuma really nailed everything perfectly here. It's just we know they're going to score a lot, and this is why the total's so high, but who are they going to stop? Can they even stop Bryce Young, who's not even that good? And I think that's what it's come down to. I think 3 versus 3.5 here is probably going to be worth a lot more because it's probably going to have so many backdoor covers and typically other normal spots.
All right, let's move on to this next game. Tennessee at Las Vegas. Right now, Las Vegas is -5.5, -106. Total is 41.5, -112 to the under. Rob and Clive were questioning what to do with this game on Sunday. It was 6.5. I liked it then for Tennessee. I still like it at this number at 5.5, and I'm going to give out a play on it. I'll give you my rationale because last time I talked about Tennessee, I showed my ass here. I really embarrassed myself. To me, it just feels like a weird number. Both are bottom 4 in offensive EPA and bottom 7 in offensive success rate. They're both bottom 8 in defensive EPA. They're middle of the pack in defensive success rate. Like both these teams are very close in like statistical metrics that I value, but one is perceived to be a lot better than the under. And I'm wondering if that's strictly based off of prior yards per play is like the one stat you could say, oh, at least the Raiders move the ball and Tennessee doesn't. But I think you have to acknowledge Tennessee's first 2 weeks where Cam Ward looked like deer in headlights, and the last 3 weeks where they're moving the ball a lot better. He had 200 yards in the fourth quarter. I don't know if I'm the only one. I saw a little bit of flashes. Just frankly, I just think the number's too big. They've both played very strong opponents. Titans combined opponents are like 14-11. Raiders are 15-9. Both played the Colts. Frankly, the Titans played them a lot better. I'm going to give out Tennessee on my single hammer plus 5.5. Spam me in the comments if you think I'm a crazy man for wanting to jump on Tennessee. I was on Tennessee last week. Did not give it out as a play because I was still shell-shocked. Suuma, I want your reaction. What do you make of this? I see these teams as 2 very bad teams, and albeit the Raiders are a little bit better. But I don't know. I don't see this chasm, especially the Raiders don't have a good offense, good home field advantage in Vegas. I don't see this chasm between the two that I can't understand why this number is what it is. Obviously, FanDuel has the best Tennessee line because the rest of the market's 4.5 out there. What are your thoughts on this matchup, and which direction are you leaning?
I make it very quick. On Sunday, I will pretend that this game isn't going to happen. So, I mean, I'm really struggling to price the Raiders. I was higher on them going into the season. Geno Smith is completely collapsing. No Brock Bowers, no starting left tackle who was really good. Defense is kind of good against the run, bad against the pass. So honestly, I don't really know what to make of the Raiders right now. Probably would lean Titans here because 4.5 might still be a little bit too rich for the Raiders.
Yeah, Cottage says this is why the show is great, betting both fists on the worst game of the year. That's right. I'm going to bet and watch a game that's going to have like 18 combined punts. I'm going to watch Cam Ward and Geno Smith set the quarterback position back many, many years. Flup, what are your thoughts on market? Is my rationale right? Like this thing opened 6. It got a little bit Tennessee money. I still think at 5.5, it's not closing there. I think it's going to close a lot closer to 4. What do you think of the market? Or do you have an opinion?
I mean, look, how do you think that the Titans still aren't dog shit, potentially the worst team in the NFL after last week? They did not deserve that win versus Arizona. It was about as fluky as you could possibly get. But Geno Smith and the Raiders offense.
They put up 6 points last week. The Raiders didn't look good either.
No, I'm getting to that. But Geno Smith and the Raiders look awful as well. So I think what's going on here is just like it's not 2 groups backing one team. It's groups going, how bad is truly the Raiders or how bad is truly the Titans here? I don't know what to make of it. the Titans are the worst team, or not obviously. I would believe we're the worst team in the league, should be priced as such. But do we trust that Geno Smith can do anything? Maybe they're just going to hand it off to Genty all game and try to go that route. But I don't know what to make of this at all. I have no read because I think it's just no one's supporting the other team. They're just fading the other team. And who do you fade harder is really the question here.
Yeah, and I also thought, like, without Colton Miller, the Raiders' offense was bad, and Bowers is not in there. There might be worse than the Titans, who finally got Calvin Ridley going. Once upon a time, Donald Trump stepped off a plane in front of a helicopter, and he made this legendary quote. He said, "Somebody had to do it. I am the chosen one." So somebody had to give out Tennessee. I am the chosen one. Let's see if I embarrass myself again. Let's move on to a game with a lot better quarterback play. San Francisco, Tampa Bay. Right now, Tampa Bay is -3, -105. Totals 47.5, -112. You know why I really want to get to this? We got a little bit of cross action here. Why don't we lead off with Flup? Make your case for Tampa Bay -3 and why you like them.
Look, I'm pretty sure I know what Suma's going to go with San Fran, and I understand. I think Brock Purdy is, he probably will play this week, potentially will play, and if he plays and they get their other players back, it's going to be it's hard to see this close at 3 or above.
Brock Purdy's not going to play.
Oh, he's not going to play.
I don't think so. I think the real question is Pearsall and Juwan Jennings going to play. Those are the real angles here, Fluff.
I thought, okay, but there's a chance that he plays. I thought, okay, maybe I was mistaken on there. I know he's not confirmed out yet. But I guess for me, what this boils down to is, yes, Kyle Shanahan looked like a fucking genius Thursday night, and he's got an extra couple days to game plan here. But what this boils down to me is, I am planting my flag. Baker Mayfield is fucking him. I think I'm about ready to say that Baker Mayfield is better than Herbert, and is potentially even. I don't know if I'm ready to say he's better than Jayden Daniels, but I would say he's probably my quarterback 6 right now, 5 if you discount Burrow for being injured. Baker Mayfield looks legit. I don't think the market is pricing in just how damn good Baker Mayfield has been. And I want to back him. I think I'll probably bet the Bucs the next couple of weeks until I think the market appropriately is pricing them. But with all the injuries to San Fran, and I get it back an elite quarterback that I think the market is pricing it like kind of closer to QB 11 or 12, give me that all day. I'm going with the Bucs here.
Sometimes when two people fight, people try to break it up. I'm going to throw some fuel on the fire. I'm going to help you make your case, Flup, too. Now, Tampa Bay's got a really good run defense, and they're going to be able to take away McCaffrey. Let's see. Now, Jamel Dean, we'll see if he plays. Mike Evans, outside chance. All right, Suuma. That's Flup's single hammer. Why don't you tell us what hammer you're going with to counter him on San Francisco?
Just one hammer as well on San Francisco +3. I honestly think that Baker Mayfield is making a small MVP case right now for the way he's been playing. I just think that at some point their luck, quote unquote, has to run out. In general, they are not I think, overall great, efficiently team right now. Lots of luck involved in their games. Baker has been phenomenal at the end of games. I will not deny that. But maybe at some point when they are behind, they will not get that final championship drive. And I just think that Mac Jones cannot throw a deep ball right now, but I think that his play style fits very well against this Bucs defense. I think that when you can just like trigger within 2.5 seconds on the first read in Kyle Shanahan's system, I think that you can do very good against this Bucs secondary. So for me, it's more like a play style / matchup play, and I think that the Bucs in general might be a little bit overrated, but I still like Baker Mayfield a lot.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Bucs are overrated. What are you talking about? The Seahawks got bet at post last week, if I recall. Like the Bucs were like 4.5, I think, at one point. Were Seahawks, if I'm not mistaken here.
Yeah, but Flup, you got to consider like the Bucs they win that game week 1 against Atlanta that they probably could lose. Week 2 against Houston, they kind of felt a little bit fraudulent, although last week's performance was good.
Nothing fraudulent about Baker Mayfield, and he is legit.
That's true. But I think
Baker, Suuma is interesting. Suma's been on Baker long too.
I think the Bucks are negative in overall team DVOA, and they are one of the 10 teams with this kind of record after 5 weeks with a negative DVOA. So I just think that Baker Mayfield has been phenomenal, but I'm not sure whether he can be that superhero every week.
There's also like a divide on their offense. Suuma, they're very good at EPA per play and not success rate. They just hit some like crazy explosives to Emeka Ibuka that I don't know, like some of them are unexplainable. Smash some ones in the chat for the little disagreement. Whenever the two of us cross, I always like to
Wait, I gotta address like a comment. Like they just have Fluff's opinions are forward exclusive by the market. What about this one? This is definitely not forward by the market.
This one's wild because Fluff. This line's never getting to 3.5. There's a chance it closes under 3.
Oh, I know. I've
never seen 3.5, which is surprised me. You didn't take a market pick here. Fluff is giving an opinion here. We'll see what that's
worth. This is my first real opinion that I've given that hasn't just been a stay online. This is my first real opinion. I don't want to get criticized that I'm just a market merchant for this one.
But we can all agree that forward progress has come along on Baker Mayfield being at least a top 8 quarterback in this game.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I was the last person, but I'm there too. I will say this. There's the assumption that Mac Jones has been really good. Sometimes you don't pick up on a detail, or at least I don't know if everybody's accounting for it. Like he was like walking like very wounded by the end of last week. I don't know that he's going to be fully healthy here. So that's what has.
I think this is Rob's saying I'm out to lunch. Just one point. This is what's going to happen. This is going to close 2.5 flat. I'll get the negative CLV. It can be 24-21 with 1 minute and 45 seconds left. Bucks have 2 timeouts, and Baker leads a touchdown-winning drive to win 28-24. I cover 3, prime my account by getting a bad CLV number. That's what's going to happen. I'm calling it right now.
Flup with the 3D chess on this play. I'm looking forward to it. Here's a game I'm not looking forward to. Cincinnati and Green Bay. Right now, Green Bay is 14.5 minus 105. Total's 44.5, shaded 118 to the under. Let's start off with I don't know. Let's start off with you, Suuma. Does Joe Flacco start? You want to start breaking down this matchup and all the advantages of Green Bay? Do you want to make a case for Cincinnati, maybe?
I cannot. I made this game, I think, 14.5, so no value there. But, I mean, if you throw in Joe Flacco this week, does it make a difference? I don't think so. I think that the Bengals' offensive line is horrific, and the Packers' pass rush will be all over them. I think if they want to cover this game, I mean, maybe some late garbage time drives for Browning / Flacco. I don't know, maybe some John Love mistakes coming fresh out of the bye. But honestly, even at the market price, I would still, I could not bet the Bengals, honestly. I think they are just that bad. And the Packers are likely going to be healthier coming out of the bye. And I'm just super afraid of this pass rush against the Bengals O-line.
Yeah, Flup, I actually wanted to ask you about these big lines because it feels like when a team is very bad, like Cincinnati is, the line is always overinflated, and then eventually money comes in on them. It happened last week, Cincy against the Lions. It happened when the Dolphins played the Bills, the Saints played the Bills, where there's just late money of people interested in a big number. Flup, what do you make of when something's lined like this? Is there an initial overinflation and then a correction?
I think you're exactly right. There's probably an initial overinflation because, look, if we just fast forward and this line is the same, say no more movement, and this is on Sunday, the public's going to be all over Green Bay here. No one is going to want to back the Bengals. And I think with the market, if I was a market maker or a sports book or whatever, I'd have to basically price and figure out where will sharps actually come out and bet the Bengals. So I would always start out with an overinflation, see if I can get any bites back. But if sharp accounts keep coming and clicking Bengals, then I know I got to keep moving and moving. That's why I would always lean towards the initial line being overinflated. I think you're exactly right there. And I want to point out, I think Green Bay is at play. I believe Joe Burrow's out So I'm going to go with I think we'll go with the Packers here.
The real question is, what would the line be if Burrow was for sure out? If we knew for a fact,
Yeah.
it's still this feels like a middle line, right? This could be 20.5 if Burrow doesn't go. All right. Before we move on, I don't know. I've been watching Circles Off lately. They're killing it in the algorithm. Like, I don't even look for this stuff. It just shows up in my timeline. They're going to be doing some Q&A episodes in the near future, and they want you to get some questions in, anything regarding betting. It could be strategy, things you're having difficulty with, whatever the case is. Rob is going to strive to answer it. Here's how to get your comments in. Respond in the comments section on this YouTube video. You can tweet it at the Circles Off account or DM on Twitter or X. You can email at circlesoff@thehammer.bet or post it in our Circles Off Q&A channel on our Discord. Really looking forward to that. Any question? It doesn't have to be NFL. It doesn't have to be betting. Maybe you just want to ask Rob a general question about life. I'm sure he'll answer it if it's entertaining enough. Let's move on to Detroit, Kansas City Sunday nighter, because I think this game is going to be quite entertaining. Right now, Kansas City -2.5, -108. In the totals, 52.5, -110. In the Discord last night before the game, someone asked if we should bet Detroit in case Kansas City loses, because maybe Detroit +1's good. They're going to flip to favorite. And I said, I don't know. They got a lot of secondary issues. I don't know that I want to bet Detroit. Kansas City didn't win, but they looked very, very good again. And the Detroit injury list is kind of bad right now. Taylor Decker, there's questions on if he's going to be out a couple weeks. Terry and Arnold might have avoided something long-term, but he's going to hit the IR. So that's him and DJ Reed out. Rock Ya-Sin is banged up. Khalil Dorsey is doubtful. Like, I don't know who's playing corner for the Detroit Lions. I think the real key is, we're talking about, is Kansas City's offense back? In the first 3 weeks of the season, without Xavier Worthy, they're 11th in dropback EPA, 14th in dropback success rate. Since he returned, 3rd in dropback success rate, over 60%. Detroit, on the other hand, has like the 8th highest blitz rate. They leave their corners in man. I don't know how they're going to do that with all these injuries. I think there's no chance we're going to see that same strategy. And the Taylor Decker injury, of course, looms large. The key is, if Detroit's going to move the ball, Kansas City doesn't do well stopping the run, bottom 5 in defensive rush, EPA, and defensive. So for me, Lions heavy dose run, but Patrick Mahomes in prime time, and maybe I'm a crazy maniac, and maybe there's going to be Detroit money and I end up with a stale line. And maybe it's as simple as Patrick Mahomes at home under a field goal. But I'm going to take the simple handicap and make it my triple hammer. KC -2.5, -108 on Sunday Night Football. Lock it in. I like the Kansas City Chiefs to beat the Detroit Lions, especially when they're like, this is going to be a desperation game for them. Suuma, let's start with you. Mahomes, do you think he's back at the absolute top of his level? And how do you think he matches up against this Lions secondary?
I think he will be more back once Rashee Rice is back, because last night was great from a success rate perspective, but I still feel like they need that one guy who can really win routes in the intermediate area of the field. So right now, a lot of the stuff they are doing very well is like scheming guys open, short to intermediate, but they need like that one route killer who can really beat one-on-one coverage. I would not expect the Lions defense to play like that aggressive man coverage style. I would probably think, because they have such a good offense, they might come out with a game plan where they say, let's play zone coverage, let's spy Patrick Mahomes a little bit and maybe force some mistakes. Let us keep the ball in front of us, and then just try to score enough points. I think that might be a viable approach. What concerns me about the Chiefs is their defense against the Lions offense. So the Chiefs defense, they are, like you said, very bad against the run. They look kind of good last night, but I think that the Jaguars still had like an average rushing efficiency outcome. They had like a 42% success rate. I think that Travis Etienne had a like 0-ish EPA per rush. So it was not like they completely erased the run game. Also small sample size because the Jaguars had like 39 dropbacks and went pass first. And then the Chiefs also could not stop the pass. So I'm just overly concerned with the Chiefs defense in this matchup, to be honest.
Yeah, I do have those concerns as well. I'm trying to envision a way that Detroit gets stops on Mahomes, and I'm not seeing it. Flup, look ahead was KC -1. You think there's any chance we get a 3 here, or like instant Detroit pushback?
Oh, instant Detroit pushback. I'd be shocked if you get a 3. Yeah, it's funny. I hope you give me some credit here. When I was looking through the line, I was like, wait a second. How did KC take money here? Is there Chief Rice play? Did I get the suspension date wrong? And then I checked the injury report. I did check the injury report. I saw all the Detroit injuries. I said, that makes sense. It makes sense why Casey's getting money. But I don't think these injuries are enough to push this to a 3. My instinct tells me that Detroit should be rated as the better team if fully healthy. And if that's the case, unless you're getting a quarterback injury or a massive cluster injury with this, we're just not seeing, I don't see how you can make this 3. I think you get instant Detroit money.
All right. It's my triple hammer, and sometimes I bet on Cam Ward, sometimes bet on Patrick Mahomes. It's easy game. Bet on the worst quarterback in the NFL and the best one. That's how you find value. Let's move on. Double Monday nighter. That means a long day for Rob and Jason on the watch along. And I'm thankful there's never a double Thursday nighter. Buffalo at Atlanta, Monday Night Football. Buffalo right now is 4.5 -115 at FanDuel. Totals 49.5, shaded 115 to the over. Flup, let's start with you. Early money came in on Atlanta, and then money came back on Buffalo today. And it feels like 4 to 4.5 is the sweet spot. But I think this is a game where, depending on who you like, you're going to see some value in both sides here.
I think you're pretty spot on here. Look, the Buffalo defense is very questionable. And that's, if Buffalo even had like somewhat of an average defense, I think they would be closer to a touchdown favorite here, or maybe even a 6. But this is why the line is what it is. Also, with Falcons coming off a bye, you got to factor that in as well. I kind of like the Falcons, like especially at a 4.5 05 on FanDuel. It's relatively stale-ish. I wanted to make that one of my plays, but I wanted to plant my flag on Baker. But I just don't think – I think Buffalo is going to struggle to win by massive margin. And I don't know 4.5 isn't a massive number, but there's just a lot of backdoor opportunities, I think, when you have a defense as not good as Buffalo.
I make the line perfectly 4 on market price. I was talking about it last week, and I said, is there a chance Buffalo's overrated? Like, they needed a miracle comeback against Baltimore. They beat up the Jets, and they played the Dolphins and the Saints tight. And I couldn't understand, maybe this number is too big. I didn't end up betting either side. Bills have a bottom 5 defensive rush EPA, bottom 10 in defensive success rate. Is this a heavy Bijan game? Maybe some Kyle Pitts too with the Matt Milano injury, Suuma. And any word on AJ Terrell? I know I like to hawk injuries, and you're hawking them just as much, if not more. Do you have any clarity on that? And then how do you think this matches up?
Yes, Matt Milano is week to week. I think a good chance that AJ Terrell will be back. Honestly, what I like the most is the over here. It took some money today, but I would probably still like it at 49.5. The Bills defense, I mean, when we look at their current season schedule, I mean, the Ravens moved the ball up and down the field on them. Miami had by far their best offensive game against the Bills defense. Pat second half moved the ball at will. The New Orleans Saints moved the ball against them. I mean, if Spencer Rattler throws that ball to Brandon Cooks in the end zone, like 1 yard or like half a yard more to the right, the Saints are leading like 26-21 or something. So I think this Bills defense is really, really bad, and I think that the Falcons have the perfect matchup. Bijan in space, I don't think anyone on the Bills can cover him. Atlanta should be able to run the ball. I think that the Bills are very bad at outside corner, so Drake London might have a strong game. I think that both teams will move the ball. On the other hand, the Bills have a very adult run game, so to speak, very heavy personnel. I think that the Falcons' defense is kind of light at the front seven. They have been good against the pass, not so good against the run. I think that you can run all over them, and then the passing defense will also not, I think, get enough pressure on that cyborg Josh Allen. So I think both teams will move the ball. I like the over.
It's funny when we get to this second Monday Night Football game. A lot of people are going to tune in and be really excited to watch Josh Allen and Jaden Daniels on Monday Night Football. And Jason Cooper's going to be there, excited to watch Michael Penix and Caleb Williams, because that's the kind of guy Jason is. That's the last Monday night game, the last game of our card. Chicago at Washington. Right now, Washington is -4.5, -108. Totals 49.5, -120 to the over. Let's start with you, Flop. Where do you think the market goes with this one? Washington was disrespected in market last week. Chicago, we haven't seen in a couple of weeks, and they didn't leave much for encouragement pre-bye. Even though they won, they got outplayed in that Raiders game. A lot of injuries. We still don't have clarity. Like Kyler Gordon, TJ Edwards, Darnell Wright. A lot of key players missed before the bye, and we'll see what 2 weeks does for them. And again, we think we're going to get Terry McLaurin back, but we're still not sure.
Yeah, so that's the key here for me. Is it hasn't moved a ton because we don't know, as you said, but I think this goes to Washington because I just think Terry is going to move the needle more with how valuable he is as a deep threat. It really helps stretch the field, especially when you have Jaden Daniels as a dual threat. So I think if we get like no Terry and the other guys you listed in for Chicago back in, sure, maybe this gets to like 4 or an expensive 3.5. But if Terry comes in and we brick those, I would not be shocked if we saw a 6 here. Even off a bye. I think Commanders looked quite good versus the Chargers. I know they got disrespected last week by the market, but I think a lot of that was also like, hey, is Jaden going to be fully healthy with this massive ankle brace? And he looked pretty damn good. So I think we can safely say that, hey, Jaden Daniels is near 100%, if not 100%, and that's worth something.
It's an interesting. I make the market closer to 3.5, but there's a level of confidence that I'm not sure there. I know that I'm off on Washington now, and I'm stubborn on adjusting them. I also don't know the injuries. Suuma, you actually like a side in this game. What are you thinking?
Yes, I like Chicago. I've been low on Washington. Also like the Chargers a lot last week. Maybe I'm too low on Washington, but I still don't really trust their passing game offensively, and I don't trust their defense. Chicago is getting healthier out of the bye. Colson Loveland, Donald Wright, maybe Grady Jarrett, TJ Edwards, Kyler Gordon. I think Kyler Gordon is very important against the run, because their secondary, if they have to fit the run, it's not looking great. And I think Kyler Gordon is excels at that. And I think that the Bears offense will score enough points to keep this close. I'm just struggling to see how the Washington offense keeps blowing them out and getting away with this one. So I like the Bears 4.5. If Flop is right and this goes to 6, I will look extremely stupid. But
no. Well, to be fair, I said if Terry's in and the Bears don't get those guys back from injury,
okay.
Which would be extreme case, obviously.
Okay. Yeah. Double hammer on the Bears.
It's interesting. There's various opinions in the chat on this game. Suuma, I made the comment a couple weeks ago about, the Tuesday, everybody perceives it as the easier show to go on. For a guy who really likes injuries, going before we see any practice reports adds a layer of difficulty. And it's not like Monday where you clearly can pick off some really, really off-market stuff. You're usually going on Thursday. Do you like being in the Tuesday spot and having to guess on some of these injury reports?
Yeah, it makes it kind of fun. So honestly, I really like the Thursday spot because you have a lot of clarity. You can run more data, look at more stuff, dig more. But it's also kind of fun because you have to basically guess more.
Well, to be fair, the books also have, and the market has all that data too. So it's like, are you pricing
Yes.
it better? And I would hope that you can price it. You guys, not myself, can price your injuries better than.
I'm the smartest man in the world, Flub. Of course, I'm smarter than the collective market and all the sports books.
Also, I mean, we are not saying that we have like better information or know anything more. I think the Rob is saying every week that Thursday bets are probably not a great idea, betting into higher limits later in the week. But just for explaining matchup advantages and stuff like that, I think it's cool to have that Thursday spot.
Yeah, sometimes you make an entire handicap and then like the Wednesday report comes out and you're like, oh, okay, fuck. I'm very wrong on all of this stuff. That's it for us. Thank you so much for being here. Please drop some ones in the chat as we recap our best bets. And smash the like button if you haven't done that already. Please, we work very hard and I like to think this is a good, fun Tuesday show. Let's pull up our bets so that everybody can see what we ended up going with. Jacob, if my memory serves me, that's right. I've got KC as my triple hammer. Flup's going with Indy. Suma's on Seattle money line. My double hammer, Seattle Jacksonville over 46.5. Flup's on the Denver Jets under. Suma's on the Bears plus 4.5. My single hammer, I'm taking the Tennessee Titans, and Flup and Suuma are going head to head on the single hammer. Tampa Bay versus San Francisco. That is going to be interesting. I'm excited for this week. Honestly, thanks to the audience. You guys have been wonderful. Always appreciate your comments. Always appreciate when you engage with us. Hitting that like button. Thanks to our sponsors, FanDuel. Without them, this wouldn't be possible. Thanks to Jacob for producing. Always does a great job. And honestly, thanks to Flup and Suuma for your best bets and analysis and spending some time with us. For everybody out there, good luck with your bets and have a great rest of your evening.